G'day, punters. Quick service announcement ahead of our final episode of Footy Form Guide for the year. If you don't want to listen to half an hour of ranting and shit talk by Harro and I, we go down a couple of rabbit holes. We talk about the season that's gone and probably get lost a little bit, and you just want the preview, fast forward about 30 minutes and start from there. Anyway, enjoy, and thanks for being with us all year. G'day, punters, and welcome to the final episode of the Footy Form Guide podcast for the year. I'm, of course, your host, Walley, joined as always by my good mate, Harro. How are you, mate? We've come to an end. It's been a big year.
Mate, honestly, my brain is just still trying to process what happened on Monday night.
Yeah.
Absolutely unbelievable scenes. And for me now, the Brownlow really now holds very little interest from a punting perspective for me after watching that play out. I mean, I don't think it matters what sort of, system or form or anything that you put into it. It's just become a complete lottery.
Yeah.
And so that was interesting. And I'm not trying to take anything away from Matty Rowell. I think he's well deserving of the award, plays the game the right way. Excellent player. No problems with the award going to him. But just how they came to some of those votes, and then you try and put it into how would you ever try and predict that from a betting point of view? I just think it's impossible. And to give you some sort of to back that up, Wally, Rowell was 500 to 1 to lead at round 15 with the bookies.
Yep.
And also, just to compare, like using the coaches' votes, you think might be a good way to predict these types of things. Well, 21 times on Monday night, a player had 10 from the coaches and didn't poll a vote from the umps.
Yep.
So, all in all, actually, we didn't really. I had a tiny loss in the scheme of things, overall bets for the whole night. So, this isn't really about me talking book or anything like that.
No, because if you go back through, Harry, if you go back through everything we said, a lot of that stuff actually got up. So if you backed it all, you were probably just in front. And that's the whole thing. And depending on your staking and things like that. But we're ahead in terms of the lines, we're ahead in terms of the head-to-heads. And then some of the multi didn't get up, but basically all of the LDU over Sherry, the Thilthorpe one, the Callahan over Green, for those teams, Harley Reid, they all got up. So you would have been ahead. So it isn't a punting thing. And the other thing is I don't think anyone's going to think that you are crying poor that Dacos didn't win. I don't think anyone is do you know what I mean? I think that you don't even need to justify that. I will say this: it's about what you're about to say about the coaches' votes. The Nazaya one is the most glaring omission since Greg Williams missed a vote and his third Brownlow. It wasn't third at the time, but a third Brownlow by getting over 40 disposals in an era where 30 was huge. So this was ridiculous. The coaches' votes thing you're about to say, Harro, was mind-boggling to me.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. And I'd actually like to see some changes made to the coaches' votes. I think the coaches' votes should be made public of who gave what, just so that the coaches can be held accountable a little bit as well. Yeah. So that would be a good change because I know there's certain coaches who do favour their own players, especially one player in particular. But we're already getting in enough trouble on, from certain fans for pointing this sort of stuff out. So, Wally, as I was saying, 21 times this season, a player got the 10 coaches' votes off the coaches and 0 from the umps. So it just doesn't make a lot of sense, mate. However, that's all happened. And it does make the Brownlows lost its appeal to me. So
agree.
Anyway, That's how I am, mate, to answer the original question.
Yeah. Harro, it's funny too because I haven't looked in deeply because like you just sort of you have a little bit Tuesday. I feel like Tuesday after a Brownlow is a time to regroup before we're about to launch into finals, into the grand final, I should say. And it's a crazy week for me, just work wise. So I haven't consumed as much as the news cycle as I usually would. But I saw something about Andrew Dillon was talking around possible changes to the Brownlow and that. So even the AFL are now looking and going, do we need to do something? The fact that the umpiring is so poor at the moment, there's 4 of them, they're not all aligned. They can't even go into a room and recognise that like 2 coaches that are clearly far better football judges than they are have said 21 times, this is by far the best player on the ground. They can't even give him a vote. And then to somehow not put Naz, it's almost like I don't know, it was a weird one. You know how people when voting, they try and look for the roughie or they want to take favourites on, or occasionally people go, I want to be a bit different. So I'm going to do it this way and I'm going to be a bit niche and that sort of thing. It kind of felt like that because he wasn't just good for 2 minutes. He's kicked 4 goals. What did he have? What was it, 34 and 4?
Yeah, yeah. And I think they worked out that he kicked 2 goals in the last 7 seconds of match play to win the game.
Bottom line is this, is that there is still an element of what you do to get your team over the line in voting, I feel it should be, and your impact on the game. He was the best player on the ground by him. Anyway, we could go in to that, and you were up and about on the on X on Brownlow night. I obviously I was working myself outside of Footy Form. God, sure the next day you and the wow, there was a whole crew of you that were up and about. I thought you just all been celebrating the Dacos lost. But instead, there was all sorts of theories going on. It was a good read the next day.
There's a lot of ways that Dacos could lose, obviously. So it's not really about that.
This was this was the one we didn't see coming, though. Let's be honest. A player that was projected to get low to mid-20s, getting 39 votes, and polling in games where he had nearly as many clangers as he did disposals. and his like ranking was so low. It was a bizarre. But as you said, great footballer, clearance player, tackles. I'll tell you one thing, Harro, if nothing does change, find the guy that is in the umpire's view. Find the guy that's bumping into them, like pardon the pun, because he actually was, but like just clearance and tackles, clearances. This is where it's at. And just getting your hands on the footy next to them. No outside play. That's gone.
I think he leads the AFL, or he's right up there for things like pressure acts. And I'm happy to see these types of things being rewarded because what I don't value is blokes running around getting 38 of the most useless touches in the history of the game and people fawning all over them. Well, I do value blokes who put their head over it and go and, get the ball out and get the ball moving out of the source, plus lay a heap of pressure on the opposition while they're doing it. I feel like that is the sort of stuff that actually wins football games. So I'm happy to see that rewarded. Makes it very hard to predict what's going to happen from a voting point of view. So,
and then God forbid, one day we reward defenders and forwards, but that's just crazy talk. I shouldn't even be suggesting that. That's just God forbid. We pay them more money. As they say, what is it? Midfielders get Brownlows, defenders win BNFs, and forwards get paid. And that's just the way footy is. Fair enough. All right, mate, let's get stuck in. Before we get into the game, we're going to talk about our highlight and low light from the year from a punting and also just a general footy perspective. Give us your high and low from punting to start off, Harro.
All right. So from a punting point of view, my highlight was actually going back to round 22, the Hawks versus Pies game, and able to tip the Hawks up at to win by 40 plus, paying $14. I hit a 75-1 hedged double bet that night as well. Look, the Pies were 7-point favourites. It's not easy to predict big margins against a favourite, and we're able to do it that night. And obviously, being on the Hawks and against the Pies made it even sweeter. So through the season, that was the most enjoyable probably night of punting effort from my perspective. The low light from a punting point of view was probably I've got 2 things here. I felt like the best bet just got a bad run this year. We still finished ahead on the ledger, which is probably a great sign. Being able to finish ahead with basically not having really any close wins, but a bunch of close losses. And so that was probably my low light, and bad beats too. Also, just the mass banning of accounts or restrictions on accounts. I expect it to happen to me, and I can live with it because I've been dealing with it for a long time. But for it to start happening to just your regular punter who just follows the show and has a bit of a bet based on what we're doing, for them to start getting their accounts banned, and they're $50 punters, Wally.
Yeah, I know. It's sickening.
That was just disgusting. And, I hope that the industry can have a fucking good look at themselves, and the bookies maybe just do your job, set your lines a bit better, and start to take the punter on a little bit. And not banning people who are fucking small-time punters.
Agree.
Enough said.
My punting pro and con. Pro was the discovery of new products that I thought were going to help us. One was the pick and product. Obviously, we had a good win there, a couple of good wins around marks and stuff early in the year. The other one was obviously the tab SGMs. But then my low light was just the blocking, and it was a real downer for me. I'm exactly the same camp. That and the chair disposal still does my head in. The chair disposal that the entire community got up and about. We sent a photo to Champion Data. The ball is on the toe. They don't look at that. They don't do that job. But then I've got to listen to them say, this is our top 10. And you're trying to tell me some of these players, I'm not even going to go because I don't want to put the players, not the players' fault, but some of the players that I was meant to believe were in the top 10 players this year or the top 10 performers this year was so farcical that you would have to go back and go, either you're trolling us or you need to have a look at how – I'm not talking about the individual stats and data they do is incredible. There is no doubt about that. And what they give to coaches and all that, it's amazing. I'm not talking about that. The way you then parcel that up and present that to the mass market, you've got to review that because there's no way in the world that some of these players are more important, been better, had better games. There's still something called the eye test.
Hey,
anyway,
Wally, is it true that and I don't follow other sports really, but I do cricket, but is footy the only game where there's just truckloads of data that's hidden from the public? That the public just doesn't have access to. Like, I'm pretty sure if NBA, there's nothing. The public can get access to any data in NBA, can they not? Am I right or wrong?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, AFL. It's they're different games, so there is just more data. I'm unsure on football, soccer, as in world football, and NFL, but I'm pretty sure it's pretty transparent. A lot of the US stuff is because they thrive on it, so all the data's out there, and then it's how that data is used, which is what it should be. How the data is used by the clubs to their advantage. But yeah, it's pretty ridiculous. Anyway,
I mean, they need to make money out of their data, what Champion Data do, but there should be a public offering, even if it's behind a paywall. I would pay for it. I'd probably
likewise.
Pay a pretty decent amount, depending on, and you can pay for what level of data you want. But if you want to get it all, I feel like there should be some offering there, which is it's a bit frustrating, isn't it? So. Who was the player in your top 10, Wally, that you're sort of scratching your head about?
No, because it's not their fault, Harro. No, take your pick.
Fault.
Yeah, you just go back through. You go back through any of. It's not just the top 10. For example, they were trying to tell me that Nick Dacos was in the 10 worst kicks in the comp. I'm sorry. You can have your opinions on this. I'm not fucking buying that. Have a look at his kicking in the final.
Field kicks,
exactly. That's my point. So that's one example. Right, and I'll go the opposite way. I'll go a positive take. You're trying to tell me that Nick Dacos, these are the 10 most efficient and inefficient. It was like when they were speaking about, I feel like they follow storylines, and we're going down a rabbit hole here. But when they were like, the best 5 performing finalists of the last 10 years are Luke Hodge, Dustin Martin, and Jack Crisp. because he was playing that consistent game, and they're going, he's so consistent, he's really, really good, and he's a great big-time player. When Chris was playing, that's fine if he is and all that. And I'm like, I love Hodgie, but Hodgie's like, he was coming, I mean, he's finished his three-peat there. He hasn't won a Norm Smith in that time. He just played a couple of finals for Hawthorn, losing ones, and then Brisbane. And then I remembered this, and then they released the top 10 finals players, which you can have a look at. It's pretty easy. Like, it was posted a few places a few weeks ago. Apart from Dusty, it was a very different list, Harro. So my point is that I think that maybe things are massaged for storylines now, not pure data.
Interesting, Wally. Very interesting.
Yeah, there you go. A couple of people that just like getting, just go out there and want to talk. It's fine. Let's leave that shit to those of us that don't know what we're talking about. Champion data, you guys are too smart for that stuff. Just fucking deliver. Should be no opinion, no storyline, nothing. Just, this is hard data. What are you after? We'll provide it. Do it. Like, that's their job. Yeah. If you wanted to be in the opinion business, that's a different business. If you want to be in the data business, just provide the data. Anyway, we have fucking gone down a massive rabbit hole here. So I might put a service announcement at the start of the pod and go, hey, flick like 20 minutes in if you want to avoid Harro and Walley's rants. Anyway, give me a positive and highlight and lowlight for the season outside of punting.
All right. So the highlight for me, really just two players that I'm just really looking forward to watching their careers from now on. And one is Naz, and obviously his heroism in that game against the D's. You don't get to see clutch moments in footy all that often, let alone two in a row. Like, that's like NBA player hitting 2 threes in a row to win a game from 5 points down or something. You don't see that very often either. But
go Google Reggie Miller. Reggie Miller, it's like last 45 seconds. Go Google that, and then people will start. We're talking about something that happened 30 years ago. Like, it is so rare for this sort of shit to happen, Harro. It's brilliant.
Yeah. And also, the other guy that I'm really looking forward to watching into the future, who arrived more on the scene this year, was Big Darcy at the Bulldogs. So for me, those two players, from a non-punting point of view, were the highlights, just watching them come on and how good they're going to be for a long time to come. The low light for me from a non-punting point of view, look, it's the Blues, the Blue Baggers, and only because, obviously I'm a Blues fan, we are meant to be good now. Did the whole rebuild, did all this. We're meant to be good right now, and it's not happened. And so just it's disappointing. And, I'm not hugely emotionally attached like what you are to the Hawks, so I am not that to the Blues. But still, I have followed this whole rebuild and whatnot from I basically started following Carlton more seriously when they got rid of Malthouse. I really didn't care much for the club at the time when they had Malthouse at the helm. Once they got rid of him, I kind of got back involved in following him. Really bought into this whole rebuild, and it's got us to the point where we made a prelim, and it's all sort of fizzled out. So that's my low light, mate. How about yourself?
Highlight was tough this year. There was so many highlights. Like I'd say the first 8 games of Gather Round highlight, last game low light. But apart from that, like, I just think for me, one cool thing this year, just going to the footy and traveling to the footy, whether it was with my family, taking my boy, or whether it was like going into state. I went in state multiple times this year, and I just being inside the Coliseum at the G, like just being at the footy this year, I really, really loved. And I think the low light for me, the low light for me was when Will Day went down the second time. Got booed off too, which fucking that was delightful too. So straight sets, eat shit. So like got booed off.
I'll tell you what, Wally, I've picked up on this. You've got a real disdain for the Crows, don't you?
I don't really, because you know the worst part? I love Adelaide. And I'm like, Adelaide Minister for Tourism, right? And the problem is this, is that Port Adelaide and Hawthorn have had this back and forth, but I think that that's now kind of put to bed because like Kenny and Guinea had a nice finish and it's all that. Mate, Adelaide is just like but full credit to them, what the crowd do, like, and the way they get their team up and all that. Because I've always liked the Crows. I just think that I've always decent song,
good
good
team
script,
to watch.
lot of lovable players over the years. Darren Jarman went over there. The Jarmans together. Andrew McLeod's one of my all-time favourites. Rue was an incredible footballer. Like, I've always been a fan, and it was just that soured it for me. So that was a turning point. That one moment for me really, really soured where I'm at with them. And it was frustrating. Yeah. But anyway, but Will Day going down and having to, because my son is obsessed with him, having to tell my son twice in the same season that he's going to be out for a long time. And then you get why is he always out? When can I meet him? I'm like, let's just wind it back a sec, mate. It's not just this. How did this go from when's he playing again to when can I meet him? Like, just settle down, Jack. Anyway, mate. Well, I think it's fitting that we spent a bit of time at the start of this episode ranting and raving and talking shit about our season because we obviously we go through the emotions of the punt and we go through the emotions of the game. Probably me more than you in that. But it's been one hell of a season. It's been one of the more even ones, more of the unpredictable ones. I know it then separated a lot from 9-9, and then there was a big gap with the two halves of the ladder. But it was a really interesting season. It's just been a pretty average final series since because
it really has. Yeah,
we didn't get a lot of great games, did we?
No, we've had one close game, one close finish, really out of the 8 games so far. So that has been disappointing. I was hoping this last weekend gone, the prelims, would have brought us something, but again, both games.
I text you.
Yeah,
I text you at halftime going, we might have our game. The Collingwood Brizzy game, I go, Harro, we might have our game. And then what happened? Wasn't in the end. But in fairness, that game for a few quarters at least was good. Like the Hawthorn-Geelong game for a half was good. Like, but then Geelong, mate, can I just tell you, they scared the shit out of me, Geelong. Like the way they attacked, that was like we were trying to get in from a hailstorm. Like the way they were peppering the goals late in the second quarter. So we'll talk more about that because we will get into the game. But mate, I don't know how Patrick Dangerfield's doing what he's doing, but I don't like him, mate, but in the words of Wes Mantooth in Anchorman, I hate you, but damn do I respect you, Geelong. Like they are. All right, Harro, we should get into some questions off social now. There's look, to be honest, there's a lot of just thanks, guys, for the year, which is awesome. We love seeing that. We're glad everyone's enjoyed it for the year. If you haven't enjoyed it, well, yeah, that's fine too. I don't give a shit. Honestly, like. We do this for fun. We do this for free. Like you can listen or not. I'll never understand, Harro, someone just going at you on social media for just you having like just talking about footy or whatever. Like people just it's extraordinary. Anyway, let's
honestly,
get stuck
I think the only time people actually have that, I don't think they're not listeners to the show.
No, they're not. No.
Yeah, so
just probably not fans of mine. All right. How's the form? Oh, this is from Yab. How's the form on Dunkley, Zorko, and Ashcroft versus Geelong? They'd all be surely up for a big game. Do you think Dunkley puts time into danger? Cheers for the season, lads. Well, mate, it's a bit there. What do you think?
Yeah, I'd be avoiding Dunkley this week. I know I saw him go off for nearly 20-something minutes on the weekend. He's going to be carrying some sort of an injury now. And yeah, you're right. He could have a defensive focus this week. So Zorko would be the one out of those three for me. With a great matchup, in very good form. So yeah, Zorko would be the one out of those three.
Are we a bit worried that Dunkley body might be a bit banged up now? Because he spent a bit of time on the bench. So we'll wait and see on that. Bobby, just one epic grand final multi, lads. Yep. Well, I think that we can. I don't know how epic it's going to be, but I think we've got something there, Bobby, coming. How many? Okay, so good. Michael got on the LDU and Finn picks, which is great. How many hugs does Atkins need to O'Keefe his way to a Norm Smith? Probably better to poll a vote play.
Yeah, mate, I love the bloke. I think I love the way Atkins plays, and so it would be awesome to see someone like that win a Norm. It probably won't happen, but it would be
Yeah.
great.
It'd have to be, because the thing is as well, like we don't know yet. I've been searching. They'll probably get announced the next day or so, the panel that are voting for it. But these awards are often storyline inspired, not always completely driven, but these storylines do come into it. They definitely come into it. This may have been asked, but how do you track trend stats, etc., Harro? Do you run software to find edges, that sort of thing? So just in general, do you have a program, or is it just how are you tracking that?
Well, obviously we use the what's the bet sniper? Sorry.
Yep.
Yeah, but there's lots of data resources out there, and so and also tracking the performance against the line, tracking teams' performances against defense first position, all these types of things. And I am, just privately building my own data as well, but I prefer not to talk too much about that. But definitely for what's out there in the public, rate the bet sniper. Use StatMate as well as a good little
that makes
resource
good.
there. Any other resource? Oh, Wheelo Ratings as well. Shout out to him. He's doing some really good stuff too. So a
Yeah,
few
he's great.
resources there for you to it's just homework really as well. The more time you put into it, the more you'll find.
Yep, very good. All right. Normie value pick. We're going to get to that one. That's fine. What sport are we moving to until March? Well, look, I'll tell you what. It is. I love NFL, but the problem with NFL is that they are the sharpest. They're the sharpest in the business. NFL lines, NFL player props. Their books are the absolute sharpest, which is a nightmare. But stay tuned. You never know. There might be something in the cricket world. My recommendation is to have a break for a month and just go omen bet on the horses and drink bulk piss for October. Why not? Just may as well have a bit of fun. Not together, of course. Do both responsibly. Drink bulk piss responsibly. Responsibly. All right. We reckon Rowley's going to win the Norm Smith tomorrow. Can't find a market for it. Not tomorrow, too. Yeah, good. There's a lot of that.
I like that. I think I don't know. I saw it somewhere, but it's like somebody asked him how he celebrated after the Brownlow, and he said, "I think my mum went harder than I did."
Yeah, great value. Yeah, that's awesome. One for Harro from Michael. How did Frankie Evans not poll a vote? Champion data, highest rating player over a month. Well, we know that doesn't mean anything. Cripps had 20 touches, 3 votes. Hewitt had 36, 0 votes. Crippen getting so many votes made me laugh. Once you're in, you're in. It's an exclusive. If you are in the You Poll Brownlow Votes Club, you're there forever.
Yeah.
And if you're not in, it's hard to get in.
I don't know how more people aren't talking about Frankie Evans. He's an absolute star, this little bloke. So, yeah, I know Blues fans, I really gravitated towards him at the end of the year. I thought he was great. And he was probably written off as a delisting until he came and played an amazing month of footy. So well done to him. Can't believe he didn't get a vote. But, Wally, to get a vote, the umpires need to know who you are because they can't write your name down on a piece of paper at the end of the game if they don't know who the fuck you are, do they?
That's a problem. That is a problem. It's like Gold Coast. No one knew. Okay, it's Rao Anderson. Rao Anderson. Give it to Rao Anderson. Took Miller was stiff as well. I reckon Took Miller, he missed out a few times when he was...
Bailey Humphrey was stiff.
Oh, mate. Yeah, actually he was. The umpires have no fucking idea what they're doing, let's be honest. Oh, fuck. All right, let's get stuck in, mate. That's all the questions.
All right.
There was one from Matt at the end. He just goes, something other than Bitcoin for the tip jar, Harro. But I'll let you do that. Harro is going to launch his side crypto podcast.
No, won't be doing
No,
that. But
no.
we're still
right.
yet to receive a tip, Wally, in 3 years of doing this. Not one tip. So
Yeah, exactly.
Thanks, punters. Really looking after the boys.
All right,
Anyway.
Let's get stuck in. All right, Geelong v Brisbane is our grand final. They met in the first week. They came back around the long way, Brisbane. They're gonna play off in the grand final. Both have had decent finishes to the season. Brisbane against some tougher competition, Geelong not, but then Geelong smacked them last time they played. And well, it probably should have been 50 points if Rayner didn't get the 2 gifts. So, like, it was a big win by Geelong. They get them on the MCG again. They've had the extra rest. Dangerfield's in form. Like, there's so much going right for them. They're $1.50, understandably. Brisbane's $2.60. The line is 12.5. The total over-unders is 170.5. Sorry, Harro. Let's get stuck into this game. We'll go result, over-under, some goal kickers, any disposal you like. Then we'll talk norm.
Okay, cool. So I look at this fairly simply. And look, they met, as you said, 3 games ago. And the Cats won that by 5 goals for, including the double goal. And now, at the time that they met the Lions then, the Lions were in better shape than what they are now. The Lions were coming off having had a week's break, where now they meet the Lions, who have just played 3 tough finals in a row. They're beaten up. We've saw, they're going to have guys out there who are with niggles. There's no doubt about it. You can't play 3 finals. Finals are another level of footy altogether. We know that Berry's going to have a loose shoulder. Neil's going to probably play by the looks of it, but he's coming off a quad followed by a calf. So that's a risky move, isn't it? So you can't expect him to be at his absolute best. And just these are the factors, let alone the form. Also, they've got some first and second year players in Gallup, Morris, Levi Ashcroft, Sam Marshall. It's a long year for a young player. Also, having made the grand final last year, they've had a less of a pre-season. So that it all accumulates and you get to the biggest stage here in the grand final, and these little things, they do mean a lot. I expect Geelong to be too strong for them. I can't see Brisbane going with them for 4 quarters. So at some point, Geelong will break them and the dam will open. And this is where I see the game going. Just so from a stats point of view, I've got the Cats 15 points ahead of the Lions before you put in the factors. And the factors are big in this one, being the preparation mainly. Also, they've got better availability, the Cats as well. Listen to this one, Wally. The Cats' 4th terms, which is a bit of a guide on fitness and running ability, all of that sort of stuff. The Cats' best term is their 4th term. They are 18-7 at 165% this year. And we saw against the Hawks, they just got better, after quarter time. The longer it went, the stronger they looked. The Lions, on the other hand, in 4th quarters are 12-13 with a percentage of 102. So if that's any guide to which side is going to be able to play a full 4-quarter game and run a game right out, I feel like it's the Cats. So, mate, I feel like the Lions, they're up against it, and I think this could be another grand final, maybe like what we saw Richmond v GWS, with a banged-up team coming up against a fresh outfit, and it might not be the best spectacle, this one, and there could be a bit of a margin in it. Unfortunately, we all want a really good grand final day and a close game. I don't see it happening. I think the Cats will run away with this one. If they break them early, it could be a big, big margin. That's one way it could go. The other way it could go is I could see Brisbane starting well, hanging in there, and then just falling away the longer the match goes on. So that's how I see that. Very keen on the Cats, mate, at the line, at on with a ladder type bet as well.
Yep.
So we move on, mate. The total points, really good opportunity this one too. I like the over 170.5. I'm rating it at my ratings have got this at around 181.
Wow.
Last year's grand final, which involved the Lions, made up at 180. The prelim between these two sides last year made up at 180. The Cats' two finals this season have gone 200 and 186 against the Lions. The Cats are 18-5 to the over at this line in dry games this season. So, you put all that together, the weather's going to be fine. You could see it being a bit of a blowout. Really keen on that over 170.5.
Yep.
Goal kickers. So with the goal kickers, mate, given what I'm expecting here, I'm really just focusing on Geelong players. I just want to bring the market up while I'm chatting to you.
Yeah, I've got it here, mate. So if you
yeah, I have picked a couple out.
like it.
Find it. Sorry. So the first one that I've got here, mate, is Max Holmes. He's $2.75 anytime. And what you might see here, Wally, as well, is Dunkley did a bit of time on him in the first game that they met. But I feel like they'd be neglecting Dangerfield if they did that again. And so you might see Dunkley either split his time between Dangerfield and Holmes, which would give Holmes a bit of a better run at it again, or he might actually just go full-time on Dangerfield and he'll get an even better run at it. So I quite like, Holmes to kick it. One, if you want to be a bit risky, is $12.50 to kick two. So that's an interesting one. Wally, I like Jezza Cameron here, mate, as well. Ooh. I don't think that they've got a great matchup for him. And I think we saw that in the first final, which these guys played against each other as well. Are they going to have someone like a Leicester or something on him? And, Cameron's just way too classy for a guy like that. And so I could see Jez, like he's $2 to kick three. He's going to have plenty more opportunities than three. I wish that he needed 8 for the 100, because you could see that if this game was looking like being a bit of a blowout, they would try and get him there. But he needs 12, and I think it's just a bit too far. Obviously, even if this turned out to be like a Port Adelaide Geelong type grand final, I still can't see him getting that far. No. But I really like him to kick, kick 3+. And look, even up to 6, he's $13 to kick 6. So I'll be happy to play that. Look, the other one I like here is Stengel. You get $2.12 just looking at sports bet odds for him to kick 2 or more. I feel like that's a good one as well. Jack Martin, who we've played before, $4 to kick 2. So I'll be happy to have a look there as well. But look, I think Geelong there's going to be plenty of goals. So the goal scorer markets are probably good to be playing this weekend.
Yep.
And mainly for me, focusing on the Geelong players.
Okay, very good, mate. Now we'll move into disposals. And we won't go through the entire list. We'll go which are the ones that you've like keenest on. Can be a little bit unpredictable. We know that grand finals. Is the focus again on Geelong? You mentioned Zorko earlier as someone you think could have a good game. So Zorko's definitely one for the Lions. Keen to hear who else you like.
Yeah, so I like mainly looking at the Lions defenders. So like the Geelong team do give up a lot of disposals to those defenders. And Zorko 25.5, really keen to play that, mate. He's in great form. He'll take the kickouts. So no problems with him. Jasper Fletcher at 20.5 as well, mate. I'm really impressed with this guy. I think he's a future star. I'd be happy to play that. Will the Cats put some work into Harris Andrews? I could see that happening. So I'm probably avoiding him at 15.5, although he is in superb form, and he'll take out the most marks for the final series. And I think most of the individual player stats are all going to Lions players too. So, that's an interesting one. Looking at the Cats, Bailey Smith at 27.5, coming off 36. I'd be happy to play that. He's well over that the majority of the time this year. And if the Lions are a little bit flat, he will really benefit. I like Holmes over 23.5. I talked about it a little bit before. With Brisbane perhaps having to put some time into Dangerfield, Holmes may get neglected. And what we did see as well, Scott, he will take him out of the midfield and put him into like a half-back role if he's not going so well, and which always keeps him in the game.
Yeah, that was a masterstroke on Friday night when he did that. That was when it was like, oh God, what's he doing here?
Yeah,
that was very smart.
Brian Myers, I like him over 19.5. He's over that more often than not this season. Atkins over 18.5. He's going to be in the thick of the action all day. Expect him to get that as well. And then if you want to look on the other side, some guys like I think Sam DeConning, you can get him under 12.5. I don't think he'll be doing so much ruck work this week, so he'll be playing more of a lockdown key defender type role. So I don't mind the under 12.5 there. Well, that's pretty much all the best that I've got for you. Oh, Will Ashcroft, over 27.5. And then, look, we're going to get the Mullen to McCluggage, and McCluggage at 22.5. That's pretty low for this sort of a player. We saw him absolutely burn the tag off against Collingwood. So he's going to come back with some sort of a tactic to try and negate this tag. And so with the line being so low, I know he only got 14 last time, but he's going to try it. They're not going to just put up with it this time. So, I'm probably leaving that alone. People probably want to know where I'll be playing that. But, mate, that pretty much wraps it up for all the disposal bets which I've been able to come up with.
All right, mate. Now, we'll have a look at Norm Smith. I've got a couple I want to pitch up. So if we ever look at the Norm Smith medal market, I've said this so many times ad nauseum, like key forwards don't win them. Gary Ablett Senior's the only real one to win one that was in a losing side. He kicked 9. But small mid forwards win them. And the other area that goes really well are wingmen. All right. So if you look back recent years, Bobby Hill won it, Isaac Smith won it. Dustin Martin 2020 was essentially winning it because of the work he did in that forward line as a mid forward, even though he obviously plays through the middle as well. Cyril's 1-1. Ryan O'Keefe, who goes into the middle and comes back to forwards 1-1. Paul Chapman's 1-1. Stevie Johnson's 1-1. Jimmy Bartel, who spends time for forwards 1-1. Andrew Embley's 1-1 on the wing. Like Byron Pickett's 1-1. I go through this list and I go, okay, who are the players that fit this profile where I might get a little bit more of that are going well and stand out a bit, have been playing well, one of which was had a best on already in the finals. So I've landed on 2 Geelong players because I, like you, think Geelong will be winning this game comfortably. One is our man, Sean Manor, who we love, and the other one is Ollie Dempsey, who was their best on ground in their first final. So in very good form. You're getting anywhere between $21 and $26 on both of these guys. So you could play a double play, a 2-horse play for lack of a better term, and get around that $10, $12 mark. That's what I'm pitching to you, Harro. That's the area I'm playing. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, you're 100% right on the types of players that can win these awards. Manor is one of my personal favourites, and I think he kicked 6 in a VFL granny, 6 or 7. Do you remember that, Jesus. Walley?
Yeah, I remember. I don't remember exactly when he kicked, but I remember he I almost forgot about it. He tore it up.
Yeah. So, I mean, I would be happy to have a little flutter on those guys. I actually think Jezza could buck the trend. He's not like your traditional key forward, is he? He's more like a Buddy type.
But he's even different to Buddy. Like he goes into the centre as a ruck rover. Like Buddy rarely did that. Buddy might go up the ground more, but starting him in the centre, you don't see that. Whereas Jezzy, you've seen him just playing as a ruck rover. He is different. The only thing for me is I look at that and go, for a player to buck the trend, because you would think that they will probably have the run of it, so they won't need to do creative things with Jezza. If we're thinking he is going to be like a genuine key forward, play inside 50, up a little bit up to the ground, but if Geelong dominate, like we think they will, then he's not going to need to do all that other stuff. So he's going to be closer to goal. And then I go, okay, but we are getting $18 for a bloke that, I mean, if everyone's at their best, Jeremy Cameron's the best player on the ground, isn't he?
Oh, I mean, it's debatable, but he's definitely up there.
I mean, Danger's I think Danger's the best footballer that's been here, but he's obviously older too. I would think Jeremy Cameron's the best all round. If not, he's in the top couple. So I'm getting $18 for someone I think on their days maybe the best player on the ground. So the price feels right, Harro. I just don't know.
Yeah.
How many do you play into?
Him is they don't have they just don't have a good matchup for him. And I know he had 5 shots on goal in that first final. He kicked 2 goals, 3 obviously. If he can kick straight, I reckon he'll have 5 at least shots on goal. Ryan Lester cannot go with him. So Geelong will know this, okay? They're not going to put Harris Andrews on him. That would be a bit of a waste of Harris Andrews because they really want him intercepting. He's probably going to take Neil out of the game. And so Geelong understanding this already, understanding Jezza has a mismatch down there. I just don't see anyone that they've got down there that can go with Jez. And just from an athletic point of view, we saw Leicester just look completely out of his depth against him in that first final. So I feel like Jez at the $18 with Geelong getting on top, getting plenty of ball down there. That's where I'm at.
Do you know it could be the detriment though if Geelong actually blow them out, and even if he kicks 6, if it's 6 of 20 goals and they win by 10, it doesn't carry the same weight. I mean, you look at Joe Roughhead kick 5 in I think it was the 2014 flag, but I don't even know if he featured in the votes. You know what I mean? When the margin becomes so big, those goals carry a lot less weight, and so he could be a victim of his own circumstance there.
Definitely, if he gets his goals late too, like if he gets them early, first and second quarter goals kind of count more in this than what you do those later
100%.
ones. So, but I think when I look through it, I'm not.
I don't mind it.
At the odds, that's where I've landed for the normally, mate.
Yeah, good though. So we are both outside of the top 5 favourites. So we're definitely both outside of those. All right, Harro. Got asked the question, mate, for the last time this year. We've got all that covered. What is your best bet for the game?
Catters minus 12.5, mate. Cats to beat the Lion in the 2025 grand final.
Hard to argue with that, Harro. Mate, you have been fantastic this year. We haven't had the greatest final series, but if you look back at the year, it's been a very fruitful year for us and for the community. We've definitely had one more than we've lost over the season, which is a full credit to you. Thank you for everything you do for everyone, Harro. Looking forward to seeing what summer and next year brings. Enjoy the footy, and, mate, we'll see you next year.
What are you really gambling with? For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website.